Hey, how's it going? This is going to be my review of the recent film, The Odyssey, by Christopher Nolan and loads of other people. Um, I think with a movie like this that's based on a very old poem, it's important to know kind of where the reviewer is coming from. So with that in mind, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a film nerd, but I'm a bit of an ancient Greece nerd. I know I've read the Odyssey, I've read one translation of it, and I like to kind of think that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to ancient Greece, generally speaking. So it wasn't like I was just decided just to go to the cinema and just watch the latest Christopher Nolan movie. It was like, that film's about ancient Greece. I like ancient Greece. I'm gonna go watch it. So my perspective may be a little bit different to someone who's obviously doesn't know what the Odyssey is. So, I mean, I'm going to start off with the bad stuff because I feel like if you put the bad stuff at the end, it puts a damper on the whole thing. And I don't want to do that because I liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie. It was a long movie. But, oh, and by the way, this is not going to be spoiler free. The Odyssey you've had 3,000 years to catch up on the Odyssey. So, I don't feel like I need to leave it spoiler free. The things I didn't like about the movie. I didn't love Telemachus and Penelope in the movie. They're played by Tom Holland and Anne Hathaway, respectively. The reason I didn't really like it is because it's an ancient Greek film. It's set in ancient Greece. It's mythology. It's all this other stuff. But then I felt like when they were talking, it was like soap opera or Hollywood. There's a scene quite early on in the film where they're talking and they're basically talking about how Penelope is going to sort of have to marry someone and make him become king. And Telemachus is like, I want to be king. And she's like, nah. But the reason that I just thought it was a bit stiff is because Telemachus is basically saying, I'm paraphrasing, he's basically saying, but mum, I want to be king. And it's a bit like, it just sort of ruined the immersion for me a little bit there. Like that's almost a word for word quote. The other thing that I really sort of my least favorite part about the movie was Athena. I really have a strong feeling that Athena was basically just shoved in the movie. She's played by Zendaya, who, as you probably know, is like marrying Tom Holland, and I do feel like she was just so like ushered into the movie. It just felt completely unnecessary. All of her scenes kind of just didn't feel right. Athena's a goddess, right? Athena, the goddesses, especially the Greek gods and goddesses, they're very much above the humans. They're not ones that come down and kind of... They come down and interact with humans, but in a very much these are my playthings kind of way. It's not like they come down and directly involve themselves with humans, so much so that they become attached, or like very rarely. So when Athena comes down, there's a scene in the movie where basically, if you don't know the Trojan War, which you really should if you know anything about ancient Greece, is that the Greeks sit in a wooden horse. The horse goes inside the city of Troy. They break out of the horse, and then they sack Troy. And when this is happening in the movie, Zendaya comes down and she's like crying. And it's like, why are you crying? You're a goddess. You don't care about like humans. In a lot of the copies of the Odyssey, the translations differ, but it's Athena who puts the idea in Odysseus's head to build the wooden horse. And I just thought it was really weird how she's down there upset that her plan worked perfectly. She got what she wanted. Throughout the entire Trojan War, she was always on the Greek side. She, would actively try and act in a way that caused the Trojans harm. But then she's there crying like a child about it. I just thought it was really weird. Yeah, I didn't like Zendaya in the film. You could say that it was an attempt at humanizing the gods, which is fair enough. Obviously, it's not like my perspective, it's someone else's perspective. The movie was made with a certain thing in mind. But I think if you're going to try and humanize the gods, this is not really a good way of doing it. Because Athena is the only god that actually features in the movie. It just wasn't... I just don't think it was a good idea to have her in the movie at all. And if you're going to have her in the movie, she needs to kind of be separate from the other humans. Obviously, Odysseus is the only one that sees her. But when he sees her, it's like he's seeing like an old friend. It's not like he's seeing someone that's like above him, like a goddess, like the Greek gods and goddesses were. That's kind of my point. Now, on that Athena Zendaya thing, it could be a bit biased because I don't know if you're feeling it as well, but I'm feeling a lot of Tom Holland and Zendaya fatigue. They're just everywhere, and when somebody's everywhere, I don't like it. Like I said before, it felt like Zendaya was very shoved into the movie, and I'm wondering if it's because she's Zendaya. It's like the movie, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't really like it when stars are just everywhere. It's like everywhere you go, it's Tom Holland and Zendaya, and I feel like this was almost just an attempt to kind of jump on that bandwagon. It didn't feel like the choice to have Zendaya as Athena in the movie was made with the movie in mind, is what I'm trying to say. Obviously, this is my opinion. If you like Zendaya, then I guess you'll like the movie. So I know I'm dressed a bit inappropriately, but it's really hot. What can you do? I wore a shirt. I filmed this video with a shirt on and I nearly boiled to death. So I'm wearing less of a shirt. I hope that's fine with you. Something else that happened, this is maybe controversial, but throughout the movie there's a few moments where it's kind of a commentary on, I guess you could call it feminism. If you don't know, in ancient Greece, both in the mythical stories and most likely in the actual culture itself, women are treated very much as property. This is obviously not good, and obviously it's not the same now, but it's just important to keep in mind when considering ancient Greece in general, is that women don't have even remotely the same kind of lives that the men had. They're treated as property. There would be times where like a king would offer his daughter in marriage almost as a negotiation. And that's weird when you think about it now, but that's just how it was back then. In the Odyssey, this obviously is not the Odyssey movie. This is obviously not carried on. This is broken a bit. But the way it's done, I think, is not amazing. So there's a scene where basically Helen of Troy and Menelaus are talking to Telemachus. Helen basically turns around and says, I didn't want them to start a war. And it was, I don't know, it just felt it was a bit, one of those times where you think like, that didn't really need to be in the movie. It didn't really add anything. It wasn't clever or anything like that. And then there's another scene towards the end of the movie where Penelope is talking to her son, and she's talking about like marrying, making someone else king, because Ithaca needs a king. Is that how you say it? I can't remember. And then she basically has this like 2.5 second rant where she's like, but none of them ever thought that I could because I'm a woman. And yeah, a good point, obviously, I agree. But at the same time, it's just like 2 seconds of her being mad at the patriarchy. And then that's all you hear about it. And to me, it kind of felt a bit, like I said with the other stuff, it felt a bit just shoved in. Like, they're like, oh, we need to make it feminist. Yeah, what do? Oh, Anne Hathaway will just have a go for like 2 minutes. It just felt to me, it didn't feel very thoughtful. It didn't feel very in place in the movie that we were watching. I feel like they could have handled it a lot better, and they could have made more of a point of it if they wanted to make a point out of it, because it's so just like shoved in, it's so quick that after 2 seconds it's like, oh, next scene. You don't really have any time to kind of ponder on what she's saying. You barely have any time to listen to what she's saying because she's saying it so fast. So I think that the commentary on, the state of the patriarchy back then, I thought it could have been done a little bit better. But I think those are the main things I didn't think were very good about the movie. It's a 3-hour movie, and that's like 3 points. So it's a good movie, I think. Focusing on the good stuff now. Look, I made notes. Focusing on the good stuff. I thought the cast for the most part was good. Obviously, I didn't really like Athena. But Matt Damon did a good job as Odysseus. I feel like he could have come across a little bit more intelligent. Odysseus is known to be crafty. He's known to be intelligent. He's the one that comes up with the idea of the Trojan horse. He's in the Iliad or the Trojan War. He's very much like a strategist. The whole point of Odysseus is that he's smart, but that's not really portrayed that much in the movie. In the movie, he's kind of a dick. He sort of sacrifices some of his crew, which when you watch the movie and you watch the scenes, there's not really any choice. But his crew, as the movie goes on, seem to kind of resent him more and more. for making hard decisions. So I guess that's something to keep in mind. The pacing of the movie was actually quite good. It's a pet peeve of mine when a movie starts like at the end, and then it winds all the way back to the beginning, and then as you go through the movie, you get to the scene you saw at the start. I don't like it when they do that. Why can't they just start the movie at the start? But this movie, it doesn't start like that, but at the same time, it kind of works. It starts kind of at current time, and then Odysseus is basically talking to Calypso, and he's basically recounting the events that happened, but the way it's done is good, so it doesn't kind of annoy me the way that other movies annoy me, where it's like, here's the last scene, here's the start, and then we're going to work our way up to it. I don't like it when movies do that, but the way that this movie did it, I think was good, because it's very kind of natural. It's very like, each time he has a flashback or remembers what happened, it kind of contributes to the mood, to the whatever's going on. The actual like Odyssey part of the movie, aka the journey of him from the end of the Trojan War back to his home, I think that's kind of the best part of the movie. The actual sort of adventure part. Some of the kind of noteworthy parts of the Odyssey, the memorable parts with all the monsters, they're all done really well. I think my favourite part of the movie is the part with Polyphemus the Cyclops. That's probably my favourite kind of, not scene, but part of the movie. I just think it was done really well. I think Christopher Nolan, for all of his like dramatic movies, all of his Oppenheimer type stuff, I actually think he does action pretty well, like in the Dark Knight trilogy. Something that did surprise me about the film is that it is actually quite faithful to the Odyssey. I wasn't when it was announced that Christopher Nolan was making a film about the Odyssey, I didn't know if it was going to be kind of a more sort of realistic telling, or if it was going to have all of the mythical creatures and stuff, because I don't feel like Christopher Nolan's really into much like not real world stuff. Like if you look at the Dark Knight trilogy, it's very like down to earth. Oppenheimer's obviously down to earth as well, I guess. But the Odyssey, if you know the Odyssey, you know there's a Cyclops, there's like cannibals, there's witches that turn people into pigs, there's big people. It's a lot of like quite wacky stuff, I guess. And I was quite surprised when I watched the movie to find out that he actually, it's pretty close to the source material. There's all of those like wacky things in quite a serious movie. There's all of these like mythical creatures and almost kind of comedy things, like his crew get turned into pigs. That's just random, but he makes it work in a quite serious, kind of depressing movie, I guess. So that surprised me, and it pleasantly surprised me, because I think the Odyssey, what makes the Odyssey and a lot of Greek mythology so interesting is all of the mythical creatures. So yeah, put them in. Like, I think that makes for a better movie. Yeah, I think that's all of the points I want to make specifically. There's obviously, it's a 3-hour long movie, so there's obviously a lot that happens I haven't mentioned. But overall, I like the movie. From someone who really likes ancient Greece, I like the movie as well. Some people don't like it, like some ancient Greek people don't like it, which is fair enough. I thought it was a good movie. I think if you're into ancient Greece, you'll like it. There will be some things that you don't like me, but generally it's a good movie. I would recommend you watch it. I know I've kind of spoiled it, but it's, like I said, it's 3,000 years long. So yeah, I would recommend you go to the cinema and watch it. It's 3 hours. It is a long movie, so make sure you go pee before you watch the movie. Make sure you bring a snack. But yeah, that's my review of the Odyssey. I thought it was, I don't know, my expectations were it's going to be was sort of 5 out of 10. I think in reality it was 8 out of 10. I think that there were things I didn't like. It was long, which I think in the cinema it works. I think if you're going to watch a movie on a Friday evening at your house on your phone, I don't think 3 hours works as well. But like I said, I think it was a good movie. I liked it. I would see it again. I'll probably wait until it comes out on streaming to watch it again. I like some stuff. I didn't like other stuff. I really liked all of the monsters and the mythical beasts. But yeah, that's my review. Hopefully it's given something of value. Bye.